The first mistake he made, Ben, was what?
Telling you about it.
All right, before we begin the show, let's thank our sponsors. First and foremost, our title sponsor, Once Upon a Coconut. All-natural, non-GMO coconut water with natural electrolytes and no added sugar. You can choose from pure, blueberry, pineapple, watermelon, sparkling energy, and chocolate flavors with Once Upon a Coconut. Stay hydrated and refreshed. And if you're wondering why it tastes so darn good, it's due to a combination of factors, including the freshness and sweetness of young coconut water, the lack of additives, and the natural electrolytes present. And the best part about it, Once Upon a Coconut, 10% of profits go to charity that benefit our communities, including the Down Syndrome Foundation, Breast Cancer Foundation, Leukemia Society. Good things, good people, great product. So you can grab it at some Sprouts, you can grab it on Amazon, you can go online to find a store near you or purchase it right there off of their website, onceuponacoconut.com. It is delish. Big thanks to Inspect All Pest Services, our buddy Nick and the crew over at Inspect All Pest Services, providing the highest quality termite, pest, and wildlife control. That's not all they do. Inspect All can take care of your insulation, pressure washing, gutter maintenance, and other home services in Metro Atlanta and the surrounding areas. Remember, seasonal, you get different bugs and critters all around your house, so you want to go with the best in the business, and that would be one of our fine sponsors from day one, InspectAllServices.com. It's the Mad Dog, Manny Aurora, with the Aurora Law Firm, best darn defense attorney in the world, litigating all over the United States, based out of Georgia. We're talking criminal defense, white-collar crime, DUI, drug offenses, appeals, and more. And you can always get your legal questions answered by the Mad Dog, Manny Aurora, by getting those to me. And when he pops up on a show, you get your questions answered. So go to thebaileyshow.com and we'll get those questions to the Mad Dog. The Aurora Law Firm. He is the best in the business when it comes to therapists. There's no doubt about that. I use them, and so should you. We're talking about Dr. David Markwell with Ridgeline Counseling. He's got 10 therapists in-house, 3 different locations there in Georgia, one across from Sprayberry High School in Sandy Plains in East Cobb, Marietta near the Square in McKaysville, just outside of Blue Ridge. But if you're not in Georgia and you need to talk to the good doctor, then you can go online and get virtual sessions. Ridgeline Counseling at gmail.com if you'd like to email him directly, or go online to markwelltherapy.com. There is no better time to check if your insurance is any good. That's why FBC Insurance is waiting for you to reach out. You can call them at 888-308-1841 or email them info@fbcinsuranceservices.com. I just switched up my car insurance because I got a better deal at FBC Insurance. They were the people to find it. Perfect for new homeowners, especially if you're trying to reshop those current insurance policies. 5-star service, multi-policy, bundled discounts, and they're going to shop every carrier out there to find the best insurance for your house, flood, storm season, auto, motorcycle, boat, recreational vehicle, or just a personal policy. 888-308-1841 or go online, FBCInsuranceServices.com. Another one of our great sponsors in storm season. You have to talk to the good people at Alternate Power Solutions of Georgia. Family owned and operated. They are a Generac generator dealer, founded in 2012. So storm season, power goes out. Who knows when it's coming back on? Don't be that guy or girl that does not have a backup plan and having power for whatever it be, especially medical devices, fans, air conditioning, so on and so forth. Offering sales, service, installation, and repair of automatic home standby and portable generators, every single one of you. When you become a customer at Alternate Power Solutions of Georgia, you get an upgraded warranty, free monitoring, and warranty repair. A+ rating with the BB&B, and you pay nothing until the job is complete. Call or request a free home assessment and go to their website, poweringgeorgia.com, or buzz them at 770-853-7571. Use the discount code Bailey, my last name, and get $500 off your entire installation. All right? Servicing Georgia and Tennessee. Again, another great sponsor of the BS podcast that is going to come to your aid here during storm season. And I'm talking about Cliff Bratcher and Jayco Contracting. This one hits home for me because I needed advice from Cliff and Jayco Contracting when my mother got a hole in her roof. Now, Jayco Contracting helping the good folks out in Georgia. And if you're in Georgia, you call him this storm season just to know that you're going to be taken care of when that tree falls through your roof or your shingles come off or a hole somehow appears. yours, right? They're a platinum preferred contractor with Owens Corning, licensed and insured roofing and gutter specialists covering all of Georgia. Keep in mind, if you've not gone through this process, Cliff and Jayco Contracting are going to take care of it from start to finish. That means dealing with the insurance companies. That can be a headache and a negotiation, and they're the best to do it. Commercial and residential satisfaction guaranteed. JaycoContracting.com, or 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You give Cliff Bratcher a call at 770-316-3876. Alive Ozone Therapy Spa in Altamont Springs, Florida. This is mine and my wife's wellness spa. If you have an autoimmune, cancer, HIV, just simple biohacking, long COVID, the answer is yes to just about anything that's going on in your body. Most of the time it starts with inflammation, and ozone therapy, it decreases inflammation. So ozone therapy, we are the first and only to do it in Central Florida. That is Alive Ozone Therapy Spa. We also offer red light therapy, halo therapy, pressotherapy, PMF grounding mat, as well as naturally in-house made ozone infused products like the magnesium butter that many of you absolutely love. Ozone therapy, what is it? Quickly, it repairs and rejuvenates your cells to the mitochondrial level by using activated oxygen. Simple as that. No side effects. That's all there is to it. It's a 30-minute session, and you actually burn up to 600 calories when you're in the Hocket sauna. We do it the most non-invasive way. So whether you're in the area or you want to travel, book an appointment, AliveOzoneTherapySpa.com. All the products you can get there as well. And remember, for you two peers, use the discount code BS10 to take that off those online products. If you want to be a sponsor of the show, reach out to me via thebaileyshow.com. And if you are a listener of this podcast and you need any of our great sponsors, please reach out to them. Now, let's begin.
What do we want to talk about?
To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Welcome to the Bailey Show podcast. A guy show women love to listen to.
Intellectually immature nonsense.
That's BS.
That's BS.
That's BS.
That's BS.
Okay, then, let's do it.
Yeah, right. There it is. Episode 374, your Freebay episode of the BS podcast. Thanks for being here. All on the Bailey Podcast Exchange. First time many of you are hearing that. My name's Jason Bailey. Right there, that is the Bald Badger, Benjamin. Hello, Benjamin.
Hello, Bailey. So excited for this show in particular.
I bet you
This
are.
episode, I cannot wait to watch.
And there's the Foxer with 2 X's. Melissa Fox, how are you?
I am very excited as well. Dreaming a little dream, I am.
Oh, nice reference.
So Corey Feldman will pop on here halfway through the show or whenever. So Corey Feldman's promoting a new song. You know, he's a musician. Look, say what you want about Corey Feldman. I like Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman, you can't talk about the 80s without Corey Feldman, the Coreys, right? He is a pop culture icon. And it's not just my opinion, that's fact. Like the 80s, they were as big as the Beatles in the 80s, the Coreys. I mean, they were the equivalent of Backstreet Boys and NSYNC for those few years. Could not roam the streets without getting hounded by people. That was the Coreys, in the 80s. So anyway, Corey Feldman will be on this episode, which will be pretty cool. I mentioned this is all part of the Bailey Podcast Network. As I talked about in Tuesday's sub episode, I'm rebranding everything because I have all these different shows now and possibly getting ready to add a 4th show. And they're all completely different, So Monday I released the Honey, I Raised the Kids with my wife about us becoming empty nesters and career changes and all that kind of stuff. Totally different show than the Bailey Show podcast. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, with Tuesday and Thursday being episodes just for subscribers. I really hope that you subscribe. If you're not already a subscriber, it's very simple. You just go to jasonbailey.com and there's a subscribe button right there, which is in the process of getting totally revamped, which is pretty cool. And then on Fridays, I released the episode with Brad Stewart, the bassist of Saliva, the original bassist for Shinedown. He was also in the band Fuel, and it's called the Vinyl Road Podcast. We talk about rock and roll news, stories from the road, obviously his stories, which are phenomenal, life and everything in between. So I figured I need to rebrand it so it's not all under the BS. It's under something different. So with the help of Benjamin, actually, we came up with the Bailey show, the Bailey Podcast Exchange. And the logo is tremendous. I love it. I love it. I love it. So hope you guys dig it.
The process that we went through, kind of rebranding things and picking your brain a little bit. I feel like I learned a little bit about your personality, Bailey.
Oh, how so? Please share.
I think a couch would do you some good on occasion. Kind of lay back on it while you talk to somebody sitting next to it, perhaps.
Don't you already do that? Don't you got a head shrink?
Dr. David Markwell, I talk to occasionally. Yeah.
Step it up a little.
Just out
No,
of
I'm being sarcastic, but you're kind of learning how you drive down the train of thought. It's kind of interesting to see how you get to your destination. And you're not one of those that, nope, it's not what I see in my head, so we got to do something different. You're not getting there. You are willing to kind of roll with it until you find something that just strikes your fancy. I dig that.
It's funny.
I wouldn't expect that.
Yeah, right. That's what a lot of people say, even people that I work with. I have this baggage that it's a my way or the highway type of thing. And I know there may be a couple people right now laughing their asses off thinking that I'm lying. I don't have to be right. I just have to do the right thing. And if you're not contributing and you don't have anything to add, then I will take the steering wheel. There always has to be a filter, and I am the filter guy. That's my job. That's what I'm good at. I'm good at filtering, but I'm always open to hear ideas. I might not use those ideas. I don't use half of my ideas, to be honest with you, but people don't believe me when I tell them that. Even people that I work with or, that I've worked with, it's like, he's a control freak. Yes, there's truth to that. I am a control freak, but I'm a control freak because usually you are incompetent.
Oh gosh.
And so
I think it's situational. And if you trust who you're working with, I think you're a lot more fluid than if you do not.
Because when we work together we work together, like you help me out tremendously. You don't have to, but I like bouncing stuff off of you. You're a very creative guy. How many times did we go through different ideas with logos and stuff like this? And I was like, oh, you're absolutely right. That's 10 times better. I totally dig that better than what I like.
Yeah.
It's also what Ken does. I mean, he's a graphic artist. He's an idea guy. So it's good that, and I wouldn't have thought it either, Bailey, that you're actually open for people to expand or change your ideas. Because
what the fuck?
I'm sorry, but that's the reputation and that's the persona or facade person.
Right. Isn't that some shit? That's my baggage, right? That's the radio baggage, especially in Orlando, that I'm that guy. And now in their defense, and I don't know who they are, but in their defense, there was once a time in my life, in my career, where I was that guy 110%. Actually,
but that was yesterday.
That's what I keep saying, right? So that was part of, I think, the downfall. Like one of the biggest mistakes that I've ever made in this business was when I worked with a guy named, we called him Bull, Brian Sclover at Real Radio.
Great dude.
He and I had known each other for years. We were like a bad relationship. We would break up and get back together. He's like the only person in my life that I would allow back in after a bad breakup. It was weird because I loved the guy so much and I thought the world of him. But I think a lot of it was a huge ounce of insecurity on my part. I think that there was a lot of fear. And if it all came crashing down, it was my fault. So if it was going to be my fault, I'm going to be the decision guy. So I remember, it was one instance in particular. And if you were ever to talk to him, he'll probably remember this. I didn't realize it at the time, but afterwards I regretted it immensely. He had spent all this time on doing this like parody bit of, I think it was like Nirvana or something like that. And he wanted me to listen to it one morning. And I think I listened to it and I just didn't give it much credit. Like I didn't even give it constructive criticism. I think I just kind of dismissed it. Like what an asshole. Right. And I didn't think twice about it. Like, I guess in my head, I thought that he would go and redo it
I thought that I was clear. I most likely did not, I'm sure, communicate what I was thinking. That's not an excuse. And it somehow, I think it came up later and I remembered it and I kind of went back through it in my mind. I was like, God, Bailey, you're such an asshole. God, what a dick. You know, like, how did you do that? This guy's trying to help you. And you did that. Like, what a dick. You know, like this guy should have knocked your ass out. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's plenty of those. Those are mistakes. I mean, that's what you live and you learn, right? But the door does swing both ways. Like, you know, I'm sitting here admitting it, right? With no outs, right? I'm like,
welcome to your couch, Bailey. Here we are.
You know, but I can do that. Like, I have no problem admitting my flaws and my screw ups and stuff. There's people that can't fucking forget them. That's just as big of a problem, you know, like that's not on me. That's on you. Like I'm sitting here telling you my bad, totally my bad. And I've learned from that mistake. You know what I mean? Like what Ben just said, Ben didn't have that problem. Not at all. You know, and we're doing a fucking podcast for God's sake. You know, so it's not as high intensity as a radio show is. You know, well, maybe to me it is, but you know, anyway, so I don't know. Can I get off the couch now, please?
Yeah, well, that was a good session.
I'm sorry, that's our time.
Yeah, thank you. And what are you talking about, Fox? Like about my reputation? How do you know about my reputation?
Don't you know where I worked?
Yeah, but nobody discussed that. I've been gone for 13 years.
They discussed it at the time, and I'm sure, as you said, these people don't forget. They're like elephants, so you know.
They need to be goldfish, not elephants. Be goldfish, not elephants.
You know, I never got into that show, and I refused to get an Apple subscription, so they can be goldfish. Ted Lasso.
Oh, Ted
is
Lasso.
that this from?
Yeah, I was like, what show you're talking about?
That's
We were spoiling for a second.
I'm not going to bring it up on this episode, but I'll bring it up on an upcoming episode. So we're done with Reacher. That's not coming back out again for a minute. We just got done with Tracker. It's bad, but really good. For some reason, it's addicting. So we had to find a new program. Unfortunately, this is a limited run of only 8 episodes, but it is good. It's called The Waterfront.
Okay.
Watching it right now. Just turned it off to come and do this podcast. No lie.
Holy hips nips, right? What episode are you on?
3.5. I'm halfway through 3.
It just gets better. And I mean, it was good. It wasn't one of those slow.
You can't say anything because you'll give everything away. You just can't say anything.
So good. It is. It's like Yellowstone meets
Bloodline.
Yeah. It's
Yellowstone meets what?
Bloodline.
Yeah. Rich family ties, power, money, sex.
Watch We Were Liars or We Are Liars on, I think it's on Prime.
We Are Liars.
We Are Liars.
I've heard of this one, yeah.
Okay. We're going to need a new one here in a couple episodes. So
Yeah.
before we get to all of the mistakes that Ben made in a 48-hour period, I would like to first bring up my newest pet peeve. Now, this has been ongoing, but I don't think I've ever discussed it out loud. And you might be, I'm not a cokehead. I just don't want to sneeze and I'm itching my nose. So my newest pet peeve, and this might be you listening, so you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. My newest pet peeve is people that go on to social media and comment on sea-level stories with the verbiage slow news day, or this is all you got, or snooze fest, or boring. And usually the stories are man finds cat in muffler, or something to that effect.
Something from Lad Bible.
People, do you not see the world we live in? We want those stories. We miss those stories. We need the cat lives in muffler stories. We need the nonsensical celebrities malfunction stories. They are 10 times better than protest, ICE, end of the days, World War III, missiles in Israel, 10 times better than all those stories. Stop going onto their feeds and saying slow news day. We want a slow news day. That's what we want.
It bumps the the post though. When people comment on it, it keeps it fresh. It keeps it in news feed. And also those are called kickers. When I used to put news stories together when I was on the news radio, I would always make sure I had an old lady saved by or a cat was in the tree and the fire department came and rescued them kind of stories. Because you need that to kind of, sugarcoat the horrible crap you just delivered.
Yeah.
But they can comment. They just don't have to comment with all this stupid shit that Bailey just said they're saying.
Right.
Like they can be like, oh, look at this. It's how fun not to read about a protest.
That's my point is, you do this, do more of those stories. I want to see more of those stories. I want to see more of the stories of mother who serves in the military, comes home for her daughter's graduation and surprises her on stage dressed as a kangaroo. I want the news to be filled with that.
Dog returns after 5 years and remembers family.
Yeah, Bigfoot sightings, whatever. Stop saying negative things about sea level news stories. We want those sea level news stories to eventually be A-level news stories. Remember, there was once a time when news was slow and you got bored with slow news days because it wasn't good enough for you, even though you never explained what your bar was, right? So now news is filled with big, beautiful bill and all this other stuff. Now, granted, if you're into politics and you like to stress and you want to argue with people, bless your heart. But most people, I don't think do. I think most people want to see the cat taken out of the muffler. I don't know where I came up with that, by the way, but you want to see that kind of stuff. I will tell you the Alligator Alcatraz story. It's fascinating. I will say.
Yes, it is. I was actually really biting my tongue just now because they're protesting the shit out of it, but they're not doing it in the road.
Yeah, and that's Florida for you too, right? That's why Florida is a great state, because if you go and you see all those videos of those people that are pissed off about Alligator Alcatraz, which is a brilliant idea, by the way, as far as the jail goes,
Right.
all those protesters are doing it right. They are
Ain't none of them getting runt over.
And I salute you people, by the way. You protest. That is your right here in this great country. Stay out of the fucking road, right? And
also watch your back for the gators in the swamp that you're protesting in front of.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's great. I posted just Alligator Alley or Alcatraz, thinking I was going to get something. Boom, just in quotes, Alligator Alcatraz. No bites, nothing, not a like, not an angry face, nothing. Tweet.
Yeah, it's kind of a sneaky story. It's like happening, and like in Georgia, they were building. Who was that facility that the APD was building, and the guy got shot that was in the woods, and that just dominated the news locally and created protests and all kinds of stuff. I don't think it wasn't a jail. I just think it was maybe a facility for law enforcement. But that was, it was horrible that somebody got shot, and then you get into police brutality, and was that the case, and blah, 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 back and forth. I even think Manny Aurora was involved that somehow as the attorney side of things. But this one is like, dude, build a jail surrounded by alligators, low budget. If they want to escape, knock yourself out.
No wall.
Good luck.
Yeah, there's like this thing's going to be done in 5 minutes.
It's already got a runway.
Yeah, they got trucks coming in, and then they're just going to put back. I guess it's for the bad illegal immigrants, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the ones that they're rounding up that have the criminal record, that are part of the gangs and stuff like that. So they're obviously not going to put kids and stuff in there. So you got all this
Guantanamo in the Everglades. That's what it is.
You got this bad element. They're like, okay, we're not going to have this high-tech security. We're not even going to have a bunch of guards out there. But if you guys want to escape, knock yourself. I think they even brought in more gators to put in the water around it.
They baited it? Are you kidding? Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
I'm seeing these videos of like the water around it. And it's just, like gator on top of gators. So, I guess you can make the argument, if you're really good, you can Frogger the situation, and just and get out.
They're going to have a drawbridge and a moat right around the front of the entry there.
So I'm an optimist. Here's how I would look at it. If I was being held at Alligator Alcatraz, I would look at it as they say no one's ever escaped Alcatraz, which is not true, by the way.
Yeah, except for the guy that did.
Well, the two guys that did. I've talked to their nephew, uncle, family member, or something. So it's a public story. It's all over the place. Anyway, and the conspiracy is if they're still alive or not. You could be the person that escapes alligator. I mean, there is a chance. I mean, alligators treated the right way. I mean,
if you do, you get your citizenship.
Right. Here's how I would do it. Right. I would take all my chow for like a week and I would just toss it left, toss it right. So the water parts.
You're not Moses. It's Chum.
Yeah.
But I'm throwing it left. Gator, look, go get it. Gator right, go get it. And I'm quickly getting across that water.
I fear that you look at gators as dogs, which they are not. They're not that easily distracted from the 6'3" guy with a great radio voice. They're going to eat you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I liked your idea better of hopping on top of him and kind of
Frogger style.
Froggering across there.
Yeah.
I think chumming the water is a bad idea.
But gators are not like predators like great white sharks or polar bears. They're not. They defend.
Depends on the month. If they're in heat and mating season, forget about it. 6'3", you are tasty.
Gators are not predators. Gators are defenders. They defend their home. They defend their space. They defend their babies. Now, granted, there are occasions where they come after you, when a buddy's kid that died of it, because you were in its space. So if you can find a way to chum right, chum left, and get out of their space, I think if you've got a buddy that's dead, you just kind of boat them across, and leave them for the gators. There's ways to do it. I mean, there's always a shot on the pool table.
Just ride your floating dead buddy across the water, get a bunch of straws and blow behind him so you got an engine.
It's like a really bad movie with Daniel Radcliffe. And did you see that where he was dead?
No.
Yeah. Oh, God. No, don't watch
it. No. I'm just, you could be the first to escape. That's all I'm saying. That's kind of cool. Let's get to this. Again, Corey Feldman coming up soon. Okay. Oh, let me also mention our title sponsor, Once Upon a Coconut. Once Upon a Coconut is the most delicious, amazing coconut water you can purchase. I promise you that. Where can you find it? Go to onceuponacoconut.com and you can search your zip code and which stores have it. But you can also order online, right? If you do that and you want this coconut water, this is good coconut. Coconut water is very good for you. A lot of benefits to your body, especially hydration-wise with all the electrolytes. Okay, this is the good sugar. Use the code BS Podcast 10. There's just a little spill on me. BS Podcast 10. Get 10% when you check out. 10% off when you check out. Just use that. I want to save you some money. Good to go.
I was certain you were going to go 2PER10 for your discount code. Can't believe you missed that one.
I didn't make it up. Draymond John's daughter, Destiny, who's in charge of their marketing, because Draymond John is it Draymond or Damon? Damon John. He's a part of this company, like Gary Breck is, I think Gronk is, some other big names. But Destiny, his daughter from his first wife, she's a very pleasant girl. She's in their marketing. She's their marketing person. So she came up with the BS Podcast 10. And she also came up with the Alive Ozone 10 because we have it for Alive as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Let's discuss why our very own Bald Badger Ben was wrong for 48 hours straight. Fox, would you like to take a guess?
Well, I know it's got to have something with his sale that he was having up the street from me, correct?
His garage sale.
Yeah.
The first mistake he made, Ben, was what?
Telling you about it.
Touche.
I'm assuming you're talking about my start time.
Holy shit, dude. I don't know where this guy came from, but dude, you're giving me all kinds of zinger routes.
So did you start at 6 or 7 o'clock when you're supposed to, Ben?
So my initial plan, I was going to start at 9 o'clock and go
God.
until 3. I started at 7:30.
Because they started knocking on your door.
No, Bailey actually brought it up previous to the start of the thing, and I thought, okay, you know what? I think he actually has a point. I don't go to garage sales that early, but I know that there's a culture of garage sailors love being early birds, and he reminded me of that, so I took his advice and I did 7:30.
Yeah.
Okay, that was good.
Yeah,
Yeah. Garage sailors are very cultish.
yeah.
They are their own breed. They're like ISIS, right? They have their own thing going. They start at like 5 a.m.
Well, I remember back in the day, I heard lots of stories, and there was even TV shows. They would get up and they'd open their paper, and they would make a map of where the garage sales that were listed in the Orlando Sentinel, and they'd circle it, and they'd make their destination in order based on what they were looking for and what was in the advertisement.
Mhm.
Now I think they just look on their Facebook pages and stuff.
Of course, yeah. I mean, there's
Yeah.
apps and all kinds of stuff.
Well,
But that was the biggest mistake that you made was your time. So
But I pivoted.
7:30 is too late. They're done. No,
They're already having breakfast and comparing stuff, and putting it on eBay. I mean, you're done.
yeah, thank you. That's what I was trying to explain. Do you want to know what his response was when he told me I'm starting at 9 a.m.?
I got to get up that early.
Well, I think that
No.
he didn't say that. I mean, I think had a little bit to do with it. Well, he goes, well, that's great. They can do that, but I'm not going to be ready.
Oh,
Like,
God.
I'm like, dude, you're selling your stuff. These are a special breed of people. You have to be up and ready to sell at 5 a.m. for
That's-
garage sales.
These guys are professional hagglers. They know exactly what they're looking for. If they
Mhm.
come to your house, one of them, they're going to be looking for a certain kind of glass. They're going to look for a specific items. And if you don't have them, you're going to see, keys. I mean, just weird collections to make their sets. You've no idea. These guys are insane.
Yeah. Well, the chicks are even worse. Like women, like the older women that are OG that have been doing this since like the 80s.
I had some Karens show up. Oh yeah.
Yeah. They know how to haggle. If you're asking $5, they want it for 50 cents.
Hey, I kicked
Yeah.
somebody off for doing that. I was like, get off, go home, get off my property. Seriously, at a garage sale. Because they were trying so hard to haggle me down on something. And I was adamant, I'm getting $5 for this toaster.
Right. What day? So that's the first big mistake. And that's the biggest, I think, mistake that Ben made.
All right.
What day did you start?
Friday.
Friday.
Mhm.
Believe it or not, they start on Thursday now.
Yeah, but I work, so
Don't know what to
I
tell you.
mean, well, I took off a Friday. Actually, I took off a couple of days because getting ready for garage sale is a ton of work, man. And I live alone, so I was just, I was doing everything I could by myself. Now, Pop came and helped me run the sale and carry tables and things like that. He's incredible, but actually prepping for the sale, that was all me, and I was exhausted. I'm still exhausted this week.
So I had a garage sale. I think the first year I was in Atlanta, and we had just moved to Roswell. And so it was the second year we were in Atlanta. We're having a garage sale, and I learned a lot because my mother used to garage sale all the time when I was a kid. I got one in particular where she got in a fight with a lady and I had to intervene. But anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. So this garage sale, I learned a lot. I learned that they start now on Thursdays. You have to be up and ready at 5 a.m. If somebody calls you and says, is this still available? Or messages you and says, is this still available? You need to kind of work with them so it's available when they get there, because they could be driving a distance. I learned that lesson the hard way when I sold it, and the person got there and was furious and wanted to kill me, for some anti-dick-dock chairs or whatever they're called. And so you started a day late. So now you have a percentage of those garage sailors that are done.
Mhm.
They got what they needed. They found their red spiky shoes. They don't need yours.
Those sold.
Did
Oh,
they?
I don't doubt
That
it.
was the last item that I sold before I closed down on Saturday.
Yeah. So that's your second mistake, because you started
Okay.
a day late. Right.
Okay. So
All
what
right.
was the third thing you did wrong?
I don't have them listed like in numbers. I'm just kind of.
Well, you kind of do. You're like the first thing, the second thing.
Well,
so-
the first thing was pretty what do you call it? Egregious.
Okay, did you
egregious?
utilize all of the platforms that you had available to you? Say like the Nextdoor app or the
I didn't use Nextdoor. Nope, I didn't use Nextdoor.
There's
Okay.
one Central 25th is our area, and people look at it, and then it's a lot.
Never
of
even heard of that.
Well, you will, because I sent you a link, but by that time it was too late. The platforms like Facebook, they have specific Seminole County garage sales where you can post on that. So,
you know what I did have? I had code enforcement show up.
Hi, what'd you do?
Who did
So
that?
I had signs. So I had my garage sale sign in front of my driveway, and then I had parking specifically for people because the street that I live on, you can't just pull over on the side of the road and walk to a garage sale. You got to get off the road. I had a parking lot next to my home, and I put event parking there. Code enforcement showed up. Super nice guy. He was incredibly nice, and I felt like his approach to the situation was fantastic. But according to code in this city, you can't have a sign that's not permitted on the city side of the easement, which basically means anything between the sidewalk and the street, you can't put shit. So I had to move it into my yard on my side of the sidewalk.
Wow.
To be within the code, because I didn't purchase a permit to utilize their frontage.
See, I was going to.
He was great. He was great. He's super nice guy. And he came by again about an hour later, and he just kind of waved, like checking to make sure I hadn't put the signs back,
I wondered if you would put signs out, with arrows, garage sale and stuff.
Well, I didn't need a bunch. I mean, I'm right on the main drag there. So,
well, that was my third thing is the marketing of it. All right. Because and I didn't ask you if you put out the garage. Did you make garage sale signs and put them out?
I made the one for my yard. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the biggest mistake. I mean, outside of everything Fox was saying on the digital side of things, you've got to have how many entryways to your house? I'm guessing at least.
I am on the main road. I am not off the road at all. So I didn't need to put signs down here and down here.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. They would have gotten pulled. That's what I'm telling you guys. So code enforcement was going. Let me finish, Bailey. So code enforcement was going around pulling signs that were not done correctly. So I actually did it right per their code. I just had to put it on the other side of the sidewalk. I couldn't have had other signs out. They'd have been getting pulled.
You should have had signs like south of the border has signs driving up 95. You should have had signs 5 miles out that says 5 miles until Ben's yard sale. Turn right at Main Street or whatever. 4 miles until you're at the best yards garage sale in the world. 3 miles until you get to see this smiling face, and your face is
once again, one guy. I was the only one.
Then you push
too much stuff.
Then you push it back a week because you know this. You're in marketing.
I'm not pushing anything back. I got stuff to do. The whole point was.
Then why do
it? Wasn't.
Oh.
The whole point was. Y'all have a conversation. I'll just wait.
No, ask your question.
I got back here. I can't answer. You guys keep talking over me. The whole point of there you go again. It's your show, so you can do what you want.
Right. But I'm asking
the whole point of this thing was for me to get rid of some things. So I wasn't trying to get rich. I wasn't trying to find that one particular buyer that needs collectibles. I just need to get rid of some stuff because I'm downsizing. And I figured, hey, this is a pretty good way to do it. So let me just see how much I can get done in this allotted time. And I got a lot done. I got rid of a lot of stuff in an allotted time. Sure, there's always things that I could have done different. I sure could have put signs out. I sure could have pulled permits to make sure that those signs didn't get pulled. I could have enlisted the help of more family, which some of them were on vacation. I didn't realize that was happening. But anyway, sure, there's stuff that I could have done different. But I would say it was a success overall, to be quite honest.
Did you learn anything?
I'm learning right now. You guys are schooling me on everything I screwed up.
See,
I mean, sure, I did learn stuff, but
I'm trying to explain to you what you did wrong. So next time
why?
what? So if you'd let me finish.
Yeah. What? Come on, Bailey.
I mean, Jesus.
No, wait.
I answer.
No, go ahead. But
Right. You're like on some fucking weird delay. Like I ask you a question, then you take 10 minutes to answer it. And then it takes you 5 minutes to get to the point. And what I'm saying is that next time you do this, is that you'll do better. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you don't.
I got to be honest. I don't plan on doing this for a long time.
Well, you're like when you say to somebody, you know, like your excuse right there is kind of whiny. It's like, well, look, you know, you did it, and you're like, well, I got this, and I got this. But ask yourself, would you have liked to had more? You know, would you have liked to have maybe made another $100 or $200 for all that time and effort you did? You technically put in maybe 70% instead of 100%. That's all I'm saying. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I worked my ass off, but I could have put in more work. But I also am on a deadline too, so I needed to get stuff done and then call it a day. Now, what I did do is while I had downtime, is things that were potentially of more value. They weren't just the $1 or $2 items, you know, things that had a bit of a price tag to them. I was taking nice pictures of those and reposting those specific items on Marketplace and Craigslist, and I'm still selling stuff. People are still showing up to buy things after the fact. So,
do you have that statue still?
Yeah, my taking a Trump statue.
Did you take Venmo, Zelle, and or
Yes.
Square?
Okay.
Not Square. Venmo, Zelle, Cash App, Cash Money. Those were my options.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's
No Square.
yeah. Did you have a little QR code out front?
I did not. No, I just had my phone in my hand that I could. Here you go. Scan this.
Need the QR code out there.
Well, one more thing I dropped the ball on there, really.
Look, you know, Fox, when you try to help somebody and they're so defensive,
You're not trying to help me. You're just telling me everything I've done wrong.
that's helping.
Destructive criticism.
Destructive criticism.
Destructive.
You were the one that brought up half the shit that we were telling him we did wrong, and you're telling
Yeah, I
me
was on the Bailey bus. What do you want?
you can't flip back now.
I'm not. I'm just.
Daily Bus is running over the Badger. What's going on over here?
You know, I'm sitting here in a nice tone saying, "Here's what you did wrong." And
but
I told you this before.
He's folding like a wilted flower due to our constructive criticism.
Am I folding?
Yeah.
Oh, you'll get a kick out of this, but I'm not folding. I get a kick out of this, Bailey. What did I just get rid of that you gave me all kinds of props on and then made fun of me for?
Dignity?
Oh.
I hadn't had that for a while. Snakes.
Yeah, snakes.
Yeah.
A huge snake comes crawling across my garage sale. Just a giant black racer, one of the biggest black racers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Comes right between the chairs and everything in my yard. I'm like, are you kidding?
How funny would it have been if it would have been one of those boa constrictors that you gave away? I was trying to get back home.
Right?
Daddy.
That would have been badass, dude.
Like Homeward Bound. One of my snakes comes back like Milo and Otis.
I would have totally changed my thought process on snake owners if that happened.
Is a Lad Bible freaking post right there. Talk about your callbacks, man. That is the happy ending that you're looking for. Eddie, he's coming home.
Yeah. I would have been like, whoa. So how much did you tend to make? How much did you want to make with this yard sale that you had this past weekend?
So you asked me that, and I didn't have a financial goal in mind again until you brought it. I'm like, what would be a nice number? And I was thinking $500, that, be a nice little bonus. Again, I work for myself, but I had to take time off work for all this stuff that I was doing, putting this thing together, make a couple bucks. I came pretty damn close. I'm right there.
Okay. So you made about $500. Now, I don't know. I mean, I guess it all depends on what you're selling.
On what you're selling? Yeah.
I don't know what the going rate is for a garage sale or yard sale. I mean, if you've got high-end stuff, but I think the biggest mistake you made, well, I think they're all big mistakes. You started too late. The marketing was horrendous.
Horrible.
Horrible.
A marketing guy. God bless.
You're a marketing guy. Like,
I think I know how to market a garage sale, for God's sakes.
It was so bad it kept me up at night. I mean, that's how bad it was.
I kept rewatching those Facebook videos and going, where did I go wrong? Why couldn't I have helped him?
Right. Just read a book like Garage Sailing for Duh.
Dummies.
Actually, my next campaign that I'm going to start is a WWBD. What would Bailey do? That's gonna ask myself every time I do a garage sale.
Okay. That sounds like a shirt that should be on the merch store, jasonbailey.com, to be honest with you. I think that's a
Nice.
great idea. That's an absolute
WWBD.
And you know what? I'm a fan of the gimmick. So you could have added a gimmick. Stop by the yard sale and you get a free lemonade. Just go get the cheap powdered lemonade, special Badger lemonade. Something.
I had that conversation
With
Lemonade?
Pop.
Oh, Pop. Did you do it?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Oh, again, see, now we're getting somewhere. You even realize that that's a good idea.
That would have been the difference maker. I would have made the extra 75 cents I was lacking.
A popcorn maker too, like free popcorn.
I should have rented a popcorn machine and probably a bounce house.
Mhm.
I should have rented a bounce house for my garage sale.
Well, then that doesn't require a permit.
All great ideas. All great ideas. Fantastic ideas. Seriously, really, really good ideas. And you know what? If we're just spitballing here,
Sure.
rent like a couple Lamborghinis and put them out front, because it's all about the cars out front. And if people
There's
are
no street parking.
Yeah, can't do it.
put it in your grass in your lawn.
Do you know anyone that flies those planes with the banners behind it?
Another good one.
I had one. You didn't see that?
No, I wasn't. I was at work at the post office.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had one. It was flying. It was there.
Actually, Ben had one, and because it's such bad marketing with this garage sale, it sent him to a different address.
Probably.
He put the wrong address behind the plane.
Well, the problem was it was a drone, so the actual size of the flag was only this big.
it was a bang.
It was flying around, but it was 30 feet off, and you could squint.
Listen to this garage sale story. So you had no fireworks, you had normal people for the most part. You said you had a couple Karens show up, so on and so forth. But I was in 7th grade. My mother was going through a divorce, or had just gotten a divorce from my first stepdad, the abusive one, who by the way, my mother told me the other day, she found out he died 4 years
Ellis?
ago. Lloyd.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So close. Yeah.
Lloyd.
Lloyd. He just died 4 years ago. He's like 90 some years old. Another story for another day on that. Anyway, he was banging this new chick, right? I think her name was Pat, and she looked like a Pat. And we moved into this normal neighborhood. Like, we had moved out of a very upscale neighborhood in Naples, Florida, called Quail Creek, to this normal, neighborhood. And we're having this garage sale. Now, this garage sale is epic for numerous reasons. One, this is the garage sale my mother sold all of my Star Wars and G.I. Joe figures.
Oh, God.
And didn't even ask me for a
God.
nickel a piece.
What did you do wrong?
Well, at the time, I really didn't care because I wasn't playing with the toys. We just, both of us, I guess, were too stupid. Really, I put it on her because she was the adult, to realize that, 4 decades later, those are going to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, because I still had stuff in boxes, brand new, that I didn't open. I had every single Star Wars figure, anyone that you could send away for with the UPS codes. I had every G.I. Joe you could send away. I mean, I had everything. Transformers, the same thing. She sold them all at this garage sale. But she also was selling stuff at this garage sale that she had, let's say, I'm assuming, and I don't know for a fact, but commandeered from the divorce. And for example, there are these old antique porcelain teapots that I remember when we moved in with this guy. I believe they belonged to his ex-wife who died, and she collected them. And I'm sure they had some value to them. Like, if I had them today, I probably would be fine for a while. And they were lined up in our garage, and we were in this, again, normal cookie cutter kind of house with a driveway that slanted down to the road. And I had some friends over, and I get a phone call from a buddy of mine, and he says, "Where are you at?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You're supposed to be at baseball practice." I didn't realize that. I totally forgot I was supposed to be at baseball practice. So I'm like, "Oh man." And I'm running around and I'm putting my baseball gear on. And I think I just had to run it over to the ballpark or something like that. And as I'm doing all this, and I had to go tell my mom, because I guess I was going to ask her for a ride too, I hear this commotion in the garage, like people wrestling around and screaming and yelling at each other. And I mean, this was the heyday of garage sales, right? I mean, this place was packed. We had a good crowd going on there that's buying our stuff. And I try to open up the garage door and it won't open. It's like there's somebody on it. And I'm hearing this screaming. And my mother's the one screaming. And I hear another lady's voice screaming. And I finally, I get, hawk power. And I just shoulder into the garage door and I'm able to open it enough to see what's going on. This lady's fighting my mother. She started a fight with my mother in our garage because she's banging her now, I guess, ex-husband, and she's claiming all this stuff is stolen. And so she's like punching my mother. And I remember thinking to myself, as a kid, at least I did, as a kid, there would still be that thought of, will I get in trouble? And there was that thought, as a Gen Xer, you're taught to respect your elders, really no matter what, unfortunately, but fortunately. And so as I am thinking, how do I break this fight up? I say to myself, do I punch her in the face or do I punch her in the shoulder? And then my mind goes to the back of the bus where we'd play that froggy game that I was always pretty good at, where you'd punch each other in the shoulder. Yeah. With the knuckle.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know the game I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah.
So
like
I go,
this.
Yeah. You would go you would over, or sometimes you would jump off the seat, that horrible brown fake leather,
Try to get him in the right in the shoulder socket.
Right. So I like, okay, well, I don't want to punch her in the face because I could get in trouble. So I'm going to froggy her in the arm, and that's going to do the trick. So I wind up, and you know how the garage goes in the garage, it's kind of a step down a little bit. So I had a little bit of elevation, and I wind up and I come down. I'm a pretty decent sized kid, even in 7th grade. But I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I'm a boy. She's a girl. Totally win this one. And I wind up and I nail her. And I just remember hearing, ow.
Well, that's deflating.
Damn. Is there retaliation?
No, she ended up letting go. It worked. She ended up but that noise, I'll never forget.
Ow.
Yeah. That I'm expecting or yeah, like this big, what the fuck are you doing? Kind of thing. But it's, ow. And she was a pretty big chick. I mean, she wasn't, she was a little hefty.
That can be, yeah.
And so she lets go and she walks down the garage, the driveway, and she has her car parked on the other side of the road. And it's like this beater car. And she has this cardboard with a sign that says, "Don't buy stolen merchandise." And she just hung out.
She was protesting the garage sale?
She was protesting the garage sale. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's my best garage story I got for you.
And ironically, that's the stuff that sold the best.
Right. Yeah. It's like everybody's like, well, shit, I want a piece of this.
Must be something. Yeah.
I've never talked to my mother I need to talk to my mom about that. How did you do that day? How much money did you make?
I got $1, so she doesn't even remember it.
I don't know. I think
there's a bet riding on this. Go ask.
Okay. All right. I'll bet you $1 on that. You want to get in on this, Ben?
I think she does actually remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. She might not remember it the same way you do, though.
Right. That's true. Also,
she's going to have a different version of the same day, same story.
Yeah, because from what you've already laid out to me, and it's very minimal about your mom, she clearly is eccentric and high maintenance.
Okay. So you're saying, okay, so let's clarify the bet because we've added some layers now. And I'm willing to go all out. So do you want to say the $1 is just if she remembers, period, and that's a bet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think she remembers the event.
Okay. Do you want to make another $1 bet on it? That she remembers exactly how I just told that story.
Oh, yeah, I'll make that because no.
Okay, so you
say tell it totally different.
Okay, so you could, we'll good chance of breaking even, or I'm like, okay, we'll make those 2 bets, and we'll report back next week's show on this. I promise you.
Fair enough. Ooh, a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I'll actually record my mother. There's no way we're gonna be able to get video, but there's no way she'll be able to do that. But I will record my mother and I'll help her say it. Yeah.
I want to find out if she actually sounds like Adam Sandler's mom, the way you do your impression.
Jay.
Bailey, where's your carrots? It's Tuesday. I got to go to the store, and that's all I'm doing.
I've never made her sound Jewish.
You kind of did. Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Jace. No, it's Jace. Jace.
See, that sounds like a Jewish lady.
That doesn't
Somebody's
sound-
eating matzo balls later.
Besides, Sandler's a Jew, so it makes sense.
I will tell you, Ben had some cool shit at his garage sale. He did. I was interested in the bike until I found out it doesn't work right. And then I was interested in the fish tank until I found out it was a snake tank. I was interested in the red spiky shoes until I found out he sold them.
Sold them, yeah.
Yeah, though that was the hip snips of the garage sale.
I
There
like
was two things that my heart hurt when I watched them walk away, and the red shoes were one of them.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the downside of a garage sale, right? Is, you're trying to downsize, which means, the rule of thumb, right, is if you haven't used it, seen it, thought of it for a year, you get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you start to get into nostalgic things and memories, and like, well, I haven't worn these in 10 years, but I remember the last time I did it and it was here, and it's like you just want to keep them around just so you have that memory, which I totally get 110%.
Those red shoes, that's one of our first times we hung out. I was wearing those red shoes.
Oh, so you want to keep that? You want to keep the red shoes because of us?
Sentimental guy. Yeah.
So I get that aspect of it. That's the tough part about garage sales. Yes, I agree. That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, most of it I pretty much had let go of emotionally. I'm like, all right, this is just stuff. There's a couple things I was like, ooh, there's a memory there.
Did somebody?
I don't know when I'll find those again.
Did somebody try to buy something that was not for sale?
Yes, everybody wanted to buy my lawnmower.
Yeah, you got to be careful of leaving stuff like that out. Like, if
I had it. It was behind stuff, like covered with other things. They're like, "Is that a lawnmower back there? How much you want for that?" I'm like, "Dude, it's hidden."
Yeah, that happened to mine too. Went around the corner of the house and starts picking at the potted plants I've got over there. How much for the? I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, they really. You talk about territorial. They have no boundaries.
Yeah, these people are dangerous, right? They'll look through your windows and they're like, couch for sale.
Right? How about that kid?
Kid for sale. You got to be careful with it. You have a utility shed, even like on the side of your house. You're like, how much for the utility shed? I think there's something psychological to that where they know it's not for sale, but the power trip of able to buy it is like cool. It's like, oh, I'm going to buy that from you.
Could be.
Mm-hmm.
Look, dude, I've been doing not tons, but a good amount of Facebook Marketplace lately. Getting ready for bees to go back to Alabama. I got to pick up a pink dresser this week. I went and picked
one.
Some. You should have told me before. I'm going to pick it up.
Wait, I do have something you can give bees.
What?
I'll show it to you. It's a pink, like, bar height makeup chair.
Oh my God, she needs that.
Yeah, it's like a bar stool height, but it's like pink leather.
Boom. Thank you. Yeah,
So-
because we've got to get her a makeup little gimmick. So I got to find one of those.
How much were you looking for that? How bad? What did you want for that chair? Oh no. Obviously.
Oh
there's
no,
some-
Bailey's got dibs if that's what you're asking.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then we bought some filing cabinets for the spa and armoire. And like I've been Facebook Market Daddy lately. Facebook Market Daddy. I don't know why. Just because I've been playing poker, so I got to find something to occupy.
I still got a hell of a TV stand if you want to send that to Alabama.
Yeah, I know. I think they
It's a
got
monster.
Yeah, I think I'll ask them. You send me a picture. I'll ask them if they want it.
I put my TV in the tiny house over the weekend,
How's it look?
like a movie theater.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
65-inch. It takes up the wall.
Yeah. If you don't know,
awesome.
Ben is moving into his parents' tiny house on their property. And
Yep.
when I think tiny house, it's a tiny house.
Yeah, it's an ADU. It's I mean, it's got a kitchen and a full bath, but it's a tiny house.
And Ben is
Oh,
not
damn
a
sure.
guy, by the way.
Okay.
I'm
I thought it
not.
was like Barbie princess house, which is cool, but it doesn't have the kitchen.
Nope.
But
no Barbie.
he's moving in with a guy named Ken. So I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
well, there you go.
Ken and
Ben.
Ken over. Yeah. There you go.
Skipper.
All right.
How did I get gay just now?
All right, let's have the Corey Feldman conversation.
Corey Feldman conversation.
Corey Feldman conversation. All right, let's do it. All right, let's welcome to the BS podcast. He is a pop culture icon, a rock star, an actor, a writer, a director, you just name it. He is the man, part of all of our childhood in the movie business, of course. New song called Characters out on all major digital platforms. It is the one, it is the only. Corey Feldman. How are you, Corey?
Hello, how are you, brother?
Dude, let's talk about this song. I know inspired a lot by Beatles, which you without a doubt can hear, hands down. You know, you can hear the Beatles influence. But I'm a big storytelling, lyrical, being in the music business for 30 years on the radio side of things. I love the storytelling. I love lyrical songs. This is and it's got the perfect buzz title of Characters. So walk me through the storytelling of Characters and why you chose that, and what if there is any ulterior motive or meaning behind the song.
Well, it's not ulterior motive, but it is kind of on its face a celebration of my 50th year in entertainment. That's a pretty big accomplishment, as you know, most people can't make it around for, you know, a couple of years. A lot of people do one series and they're done. They can't get work again, or they do a couple movies as a kid and they don't move on. But it's quite an honor that I've been let into all of your hearts and homes for 50 years now. And, you know, and I'm so young. So the thing is like, it's kind of ironic. You know, most people don't hit their 50-year anniversary until they're old and wrinkled. And I feel very lucky to have this honor at such an early age, so I can really appreciate it and enjoy it and still bring you my best quality work. So that's what it's about. And the story itself, you know, it's about all the characters that I've played, but not just the characters I've played. It's also about the characters that have come in and out of my life, and the fact that I've been allowed to come in and out of your lives. And thinking about the kind of retrospective of the fact that we all play characters in our lives. You know, for different people, we're different people. You know, some people we have to be the strong one. For some people, we have to be the sensitive one. For some people, we have to be the funny person that, you know, kind of helps them through their day. For some people, we have to be the, you know, compassionate person that needs to give. You know, I mean, it's just, we really play a different role in everybody's lives that we interact with. So it's not just about me and my characters, but it's about everybody, the characters that we all play in each other's lives. And then it's also about the fact that, you know, the reason why it's in the style of the Beatles in the first place, which is that, of course, they were one of the greatest bands in history, four of the greatest entertainers in the world, and truly inspired my entire career. Since, if you remember, when I started my career at only 3 years old, the Beatles were still being played on the radio quite heavily because they'd only broken up, you know, a year before I was born. And so their last album came out actually the year I was born, right? So heavily they were on the radio and being promoted still. And so I guess that was in my consciousness from a very young age. And my sister was in the Mickey Mouse Club and ironically performed songs from Sgt. Pepper in the Mickey Mouse Club on stage when she was 7 and I was like 3 or 4. And then going forward, my father was a bass player and singer in a band, much like Paul McCartney. And I was around him, you know, obviously the first 10 years of my life, watching him go on stage at various amusement parks and places like that. So, you know, it was always about like entertainment and fun, but there was also a heavy connection to the Beatles. I was always inspired heavily by the Beatles. And while Paul and Ringo were here, I wanted to also kind of do this as like a gift to them. Like, hey, you know, we're still listening. We're still, you know, being moved and affected by your music. And I just wish John and George were here to hear it as well, really.
Yeah, it's cool that you said that as far as characters go, again, the title song of the new song by Corey Feldman, which again, available on all major digital platforms, is
part of a forthcoming EP, I might add.
And a part of a forthcoming EP that you said, Corey, that you recognize, you know, sometimes if you're in the business long enough and, you know, some people just forget how much of an impact they have on the fans' lives. So you had mentioned that a couple times when you were talking, how you recognize how these characters that you played, whether it's Goonies, Stand By Me, you name it, you realize that you were a part of my life. You know, I mean, we're not far off in age. So
see what that says?
Well, I can't see it. It's a little far. Oh, Goonies, right there. You got a Goonies. You got a Goonies jersey.
There you go.
So you recognize that when you walk down the street and you see people who are like, "Hey, Corey, how you doing, brother, man? Thanks for the good times." You actually appreciate that.
Absolutely. Of course I do. I mean, I appreciate each and every person who's affected by the work that I do. What positive, negative, whatever. I want to hear your stories,
Yeah, what are some of the "you've been a part of my life, you've helped me through" story? Just give me one, maybe top of mind, over 50 years of entertainment that's always stood out to you.
I mean, I don't know that there is just one because it's so common. I mean, you have to realize I go and do a concert and meet, 50 people backstage after the show, or I go do a convention and I might, meet 500 people in a day. And so I hear so many stories on a regular basis. Everybody's got a different one and everybody's got something different that's inspired them. So it's really hard to pigeonhole it down to one. All I can tell you is that I'm frequently interrupted or stopped on the street or, going anywhere really. And it's like, oh my God, I grew up with you. I started watching you, on the McDonald's commercial and I've seen you ever since, or I've grown up with you, or, gosh, I started watching you when I was a little kid and your movies got me out of my misery and gave me hope, or your music has inspired me to keep going and not give up on myself, or, your music has kept me alive. I mean, I've heard it all, you know what I mean? So it's beautiful and I love it. And I encourage people to keep expressing themselves and communicating because it's all about, sharing our emotions. That's the human experience.
That's so cool. Your first gig was America Tonight, right? That was your first appearance on television?
No, not my first gig. My first appearance on television was McDonald's commercial when I was only 3.5 years old. I shot it at 3.5 or 4 years old, somewhere in there. That was my very first commercial. It ran for 8 years consecutively, and it won a Clio Award, which is the award for commercials. So that was pretty impressive. But that said, right after that, I got into all sorts of things. My very first television special was when I was 5, and it was with Dick Van Dyke. Mm-hmm. And the show was called How to Eat Like a Child. And that was my first, and I believe the Cosby Show. I was on the Bill Cosby Show at maybe 4 or 5. And that was where, he had this show. It was like a Bill Cosby Live. And he would sit at the end of the show with a group of kids and he would tell jokes to the groups of kids. And then the groups of kids would say, whatever little funny things or whatever back at him. And he would react. And that was a weekly show that he had on. So I did that show and I did the Dick Van Dyke special. And those were actually the first 2 things that I did professionally.
And then the first big blockbuster gig for Corey Feldman was Gremlins in '84, right?
Yes. Yeah. Although I was in the movie Time After Time before that, where I was the little kid in the museum. So that was my first bit part in a movie with Malcolm McDowell, Mary Steenburgen, and David Warner. Sorry. And then the last, the big thing, I would say was probably The Fox and the Hound, which was, even though I wasn't on camera, it was my first starring role in a movie where I played Copper in The Fox and the Hound. Then after that was Gremlins.
Yeah, and then when you did Gremlins, Gremlins is a cinematic icon, and obviously you don't know that at the time when you're doing it. So at that age,
well, I did.
Oh, you did?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I knew this was going to be a huge movie that was going to last forever because it was Spielberg. I mean, all you had to do is look at his track record from Jaws, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Close Encounters, and then E.T. I mean, we kind of knew his trajectory, and even the movies that he only executive produced, or what he called executive producing, which is actually, co-directing. And that was like Poltergeist, right? Which was already a huge success. Amazing Stories, I think, was already on. So yes, we knew anything that Spielberg touched would be gold. First of all, Joe Dante already had an impressive track record himself as a director. And on top of that, just the theme of the movie, like cute little creatures that everybody would want in their homes, and then they turn evil. I mean, what a premise. I knew immediately this was going to be a huge movie.
Yeah. And Spielberg has a way of kind of doing, he was Easter egging before Easter egging was Easter egging.
Right.
You look at Raiders and you see some of the Star Wars stuff and so on and so forth. And there's,
I was on the set of the Goonie House. I'll just bring this up quickly. This is why I have this shirt. But I was at the Goonies 40th anniversary just last week in Astoria, Oregon, and they've redone the original house to put it exactly back, and I mean inch by inch, to the way that it was in 1984, with every prop, every piece of set deck, every piece of furniture, everything back to 1984. And I have to tell you, there was a lot of Gremlins and ET stuff placed all over that room, at Mikey's bedroom and Brand's bedroom in the movie. And I was like, whoa, I guess with some heavy duty Easter egg going here. So yes, he was very big on that.
There's this, I don't know if it's conspiracy or, hearsay of there's this like these worlds that have you in it that match Poltergeist with Goonies, and it's like the same universe.
I haven't seen that one, but I've seen Back to the Future and Goonies as the same universe for sure.
I haven't seen that one. I've seen the Goonies and Poltergeist, but not the tell me the Back to the Future and Goonies.
I mean, I really didn't pay too close attention, but there was definitely a few articles that I've seen that are comparing it and saying that it's in the same universe. Obviously, Goonies and Gremlins are in the same universe because the joke in the movie where, Jeff Cohen's on the phone with the police officer and he says, oh yeah, you're going to lie to me again, just like the time you told me about all the little green men that you spilled water on them and they multiply. So,
yeah.
So that was quite intentional.
So, the 6 Degrees to Kevin Bacon, fun, drinking game or whatever.
Right. Yes, of course. Yes.
There should be a 6 Degrees of Corey Feldman. I mean, it's like,
I think it's 5 degrees of Feldman.
It's 5 degrees of Feldman because we could sit here for the rest of this conversation and have a blast just throwing out different celebrities' names and matching them with you. I mean, everything from the very
If you go on my Instagram, I actually do a thing every Monday, except I didn't do it yesterday because of the release of the single, but I do a thing called Monday Memories on my Instagram page, and I actually show up all the pictures that I've got with different legends from throughout the eras. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating even putting the collections together, but, I've been putting out like 10 to 20 legends. It's a legend series, so it's only legends, but I've put together probably about 5 of them already, 6 of them, a series of 10 to 20 legends and me in pictures, which is great. It's great to remember all of these memories going, wow, I don't remember that, but okay, cool. Oh, I met him, all right, cool. Met her, great. So it's fun.
Some actors, whether they have a long career or not, they'll do movies, and some big movies, and they won't have the track record like you have, Corey, of being in these films with actors and actresses that became A-list, top of the food chain, amazing talent. And it seems like every one of your movies, I could just name 5 off the top of my head, were just so big with such big names that went on to do such big things. And I guess that would be accredited to the casting and the director, right? Knowing who to put in there and what their future is going to hold.
Is it that, or is it a bit of trickery from the entertainment industry who kind of plan things out that way? Like, is it a coincidence that there were 3 movies in a row starring the 2 Coreys? Was that a bit of movie magic, or was that just coincidence that we happened to, apply for the same job at the same places at the same time and both got lucky enough to get those jobs? That's the way it was presented to us, but something tells me it wasn't quite that casual. I think that it was probably a bit more planned.
So you're saying the movie industry, this is interesting. Really interesting, because I'm going to bring something up in the music business that I was told the other day. And this one, well, you might not have heard it, but it'll blow your mind a little bit. So you're saying, Corey, in the movie business, that it's strategic. There's certain people that are picked and they say, hey, look, we're going to make a star. We're going to invest in this person, like the 2 Coreys, say, for example. And this is the plan, 1, 2, 3.
Well, we won't tell them, because if we tell them, then they're going to want more money. So we make them feel like they're just getting lucky and haphazard that they get these jobs. And then we negotiate with them individually and don't let them know that, they're going to be starring with their friend again until they get there, or until, one of them is signed.
And that still happens today.
Oh yeah, well, more so than ever, because nowadays they're developing projects around TikTokers or around Instagram stars or, influencers, or even AI people. So, you never know what you're going to get in the future, but let's hope that we keep with the consistency of them, taking entertainers and building them up because they're great actors, or they're great musicians, or they're great whatever. The worst thing we would want is, a wave of influencers that really don't have much talent other than, knowing how to lip sync, or knowing how to, do a sketch comedy or something that, they wrote with, AI or whatever. It's not the same.
Right.
This is about innovation and creation, and there's true artists out there that deserve to be heard, that need to be heard to keep us moving forward and evolving as a race. We can't just all of a sudden think that computers can replace us when it comes to art, because art must involve emotion. And if it doesn't, there'll be something missing that's void.
I agree. But I think you and I, again, around the same age, we're a dinosaur way of thinking to a new generation, where their argument's going to be, well, AI is going to make it perfect. Why not make it perfect? And I don't have to do half the work. But, the emotion.
Because it can't be perfect. It can't be perfect. It can't be perfect without a human, because the point of human interaction is that we bring heart and soul to each thing we deliver. We care, we have passion behind it. A computer can never feel passion. A computer doesn't have a soul.
And what makes perfect in art, in my opinion, is flaws.
Exactly, when you can find the imperfections. And I try to explain that to my engineer and musical partner all the time. He'll be like, oh, I got to make this perfect. I'll be like, no, if it's too perfect, it sounds canned.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's got to have that organic quality to it. If I hit a bad note once in a while, so be it. If somebody plays something on an off key or whatever, let it go. Because if it works, if it blends, and it's only a second, then people aren't really going to notice unless they have a trained ear for it.
Yeah.
So
There's so many success stories in the history of the world that have started with a flaw. Even in the music business, I remember listening to an interview on Howard with Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, talking about, and I forget which song it was, but like the instrument that he was playing broke, and they had to, do.
Well, if he was playing an instrument, it was probably the harmonica.
No, it was like that thing that you twist and turn, and it's like,
oh, the shakers.
Like, yeah, it's like one of those shakers things. But the story
the
was
ratchet thing.
Yeah. And it broke, and they kept it in the song, and how they use sugar packets for different noise, like those kind of flaws. That's what makes art, in my opinion. In the radio business, I would always tell, especially younger talent, like, dude, just let it go. The challenge.
See, that's the thing. It's something breaks down. It's about the innovation. It's about the creation, and it's about finding a way to replace it in a different way, or in a meaningful way, like a sugar packet for a shaker. I use all sorts of things. I'm in my studio right now, so I can actually show you an example. But like, here goes. This is a little skeleton head.
Yeah.
But
he shakes. He's got noises. The skeleton's got noises.
Yeah. So, that's the thing. Everything is something, in the studio. And that's the way I love to experiment. If you've ever listened to my band Truth Movement, which is kind of like, as characters, my new song is a tribute to the Beatles. My band Truth Movement as a whole is a tribute to Pink Floyd. And so, a lot of the stuff that we have done in both albums is very, inspired by Pink Floyd, almost emulates the sound of Pink Floyd, the vibe of Pink Floyd. And, we even got John Karen and Scott Page from Pink Floyd to perform on it with us. So, it was very truistic to the sound. And in that setting, I wanted to constantly look for things that were innovative and creative to do things differently. I'll give you an example of that. One day we were trying to get a certain sound out of my vocal that we wanted it to be very squelched and compressed. And so what we did is we took a little pig nose amplifier, and we put it in a metal file cabinet, those old metal file cabinet drawers, and we stuck the little amp in there, and we took a microphone and we put it in the drawer with the little amp, and then we ran that into the board. And so something like that is like a sound that nobody would ever even think of, but it was a great effect. It worked brilliantly.
Well, look at, Nirvana was pretty broken down. The White Stripes, I mean, when they came out with their first album, that was the talk of the album, of how it was so simplistic. And they
right, three pieces.
That was it. And,
right.
And everybody loved it. And now look, Seven Nation Army is an anthem for stadiums. And it's like the most basic song you could possibly put together as far as technology goes. So, I look, I'm all in with your opinion on the AI stuff. It drives me insane, especially in my business. It absolutely drives me nuts. Your Goonies shirt that you're wearing, I'm guessing you're alluding to the fact that we have more of Goonies coming here in the near future.
Oh, I didn't say that. No, this is strictly about, see, it's, if you look there, it says
85.
Yeah.
Right
85. Here. And then it also on the shoulder there. No, this was actually gifted to me. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So yes, it's all about the 40th anniversary though. There's a big 40 on the back, which I can't show you. But the point is that, sorry, framing. But the point is that this was actually a gift by a friend of mine, and that friend of mine actually directed the Comeback King video. Was it? No, Go For It video. He directed the Go For It video, and he also helped produce the Joke video with me. Chris McDaniel, Dr. Chris McDaniel is his name. Great guy from Arizona. Started off as a fan, and then we connected several times, and he explained to me that even though he was a doctor, he had great love for art and cinema and wanted to be a director. So he showed me some of his stuff, and I said, well, come do a video with me. And so that's how the relationship started. But he sent me this shirt. He had it made for me. It's very sweet.
Well, with your movies, let's look at, some of the big blockbusters, go to Goonies, Lost Boys in particular. Is there and should there be a 2 and/or a reboot, especially with Lost Boys?
Lost Boys already has 3 movies, man.
I'm talking, yeah, you know what I mean? A reboot though of today's.
Well, I don't believe in reboots at all. I think reboots are awful ideas. I don't support them generally. That said, there is one reboot I may consider being a part of, but I can't talk about it. So we'll leave that for a surprise if it happens. Okay. But as far as the sequels, that's the way to go. I mean, to me, it was fun doing the sequels to Lost Boys. I wish they would have had more of the original cast, but I fought very hard to get Haim and Jameson Newlander in those movies as a part of them, and to be part of the texture of them, to keep it authentic. And we got Kiefer Sutherland's brother Angus to do the lead vampire in the sequel to Lost Boys. So there was a lot of connective tissue, that kept it authentic. And if it's authentic, if it sticks to the characters, it sticks to the storyline, then I think fans are interested. As we've just seen with Beetlejuice, it works when you bring back the original cast and put them in their original characters as an advanced age, versus rebranding, rebooting, all this crap where, people don't want to see that. They want to see their favorite characters coming back to life again.
Right. Well, I think the idea of nowadays is to, milk the market and reboot it by using the original characters if you can, but introduce, look at Top Gun. You still got Tom Cruise, but that's just being set up for a franchise down the road, so on and so forth with Goose.
Maybe, yeah. You never know, right?
That's what they do with Lost Boys. I think such an underrated and unappreciated soundtrack for, if you go through movies that have great soundtracks, obviously Kenny Loggins gets tons of credit, and rightfully so. But I just think the Lost Boys should always.
Randy Newman has done a few.
Yeah, Lost Boys. that soundtrack is fantastic.
It is indeed. So here's the one. Talk about a brain scratcher for you. How about this? It's ironic, but they are actually rebooting Lost Boys as a Broadway musical. And the craziest part is they're doing a completely original soundtrack. So they're throwing away the entire hit soundtrack that everybody loves, and they're replacing it with their own show tunes. Do you think it's going to work?
Well, I mean, it depends on if the audience hasn't seen Lost Boys and they don't know any different, then I mean, it's got a shot. But you can't.
Right, but the audience is coming for the nostalgia.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do you take away all the elements that they're used to? I just don't know how that works. Now, the irony of it is, the guy who wrote "Cry Little Sister," G. Tom Mack, actually wrote an entire Broadway musical of his own, with songs that were related to the themes of the Lost Boys characters and things that were in it, and that got shut down. So they ended up going with completely original music and a completely original band and all this stuff. But we'll see what happens.
You can't have Lost Boys without that, that kind of chanty, monkish kind of.
Cry Little Sister, it's called.
Yeah, it's just so good. When you go on set and you're working with other big resume artists, actors that you're a fan of, and you might not have a relationship with, but you're a fan of their work, do you ever kind of mark out for them at all? Fan out and say, "Oh my God, can we talk about this or can we talk about that?" Or is it just kind of like, let's just keep it cool? I'm not going to say.
No, we don't talk about things like that. That's not how it works when you're with other entertainers. The way it works is generally you let them bring up what they want to talk about, and like they'll bring up something and you'll be like, "Oh wow, I can't believe you're bringing that up with me because I've heard about that so much in the news," or whatever, so you let it happen organically. You don't sit there and act like a fanboy and be like, oh, remember the time when you were in this movie, or what was it like being on this set, or because if you did that, they would be annoyed pretty quickly and they wouldn't want to talk to you anymore.
Okay, well then I'll calm down and I'll let you go.
Well, that wasn't meant as a shot, man. I'm just saying, that's how it is. It's kind of like, it's the club. It's really like the club, and people who are in the club know, you respect each other's privacy because we all have so much media shooting us, crazy questions, or social media trying to invade our privacy, that it's like when you're with other people at your own level, you want to just kind of like back off a little bit, let them have their day,
Well,
so anyway.
Well, I hope I wasn't.
No, you're a host, man. It's your job.
I'm a fan, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate all the time that you gave me. And we had met years and years ago at when we were a lot younger, and it was a bar scene in Orlando at the Booby Trap. It was a long time ago.
Crazy.
30 years ago we had met, and so it was just great to have you on. I'm a fan.
Well, you looked exactly the same, Jason, I gotta say.
So do you.
Thanks.
Best of luck.
There he is, the man himself, Corey effing Feldman. Your 80s could not have been the 80s without the Coreys, which is pretty cool. We'll finish up this episode of the BS, but before we do that, we have to get you your what the fuck video of the episode. Here we go.
What the fuck?
All right, I got some. Oh, this is cute. This is cute. This is going to be a cute feel good for everybody. You paying attention? Here we go.
Is this
Fuck off.
Excuse me?
Fuck off.
Excuse me?
Fuck off. Oh, you're a snowman. Fuck a snowman.
What?
It's cannon.
What is it?
Fucking damn it. Oh, fucking damn it. Fuck off. Oh, fucking damn it. Fuck off, you fat pig. Hello?
Hello?
Bitch.
No.
Fuck a bitch.
Who?
Yeah, I mean, now you know.
What?
And I love you.
What?
Where are you going?
Well, what? I heard what you saying at
I
first.
love you. Where you going?
What the fuck? Shit. God damn it.
I fuck you. What the fuck? Oh, fuck.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Don't fuck around. He just fuck around all the time.
There's nothing better than kids cussing. And you know why they cuss? Is because they learned it from you, the adult.
Yep.
The parents. That's why they cuss. It's always funny when I hear parents. I was always so anti-cussing in this house when the kids were younger, and Rachel cussed like a sailor.
And I'm like, don't cuss. But our kids actually learned pretty well not to cuss around us now that they're older.
They learn how to enunciate their cuss words.
Yeah, now that they're older, it's a little bit different. I will tell you this funny story about cussing as a kid. And a couple of those kids in this video, you can see that they're cussing to get, like, it's the first time that it's like they get it out and they just say every cuss word that they know, right? So when I was probably like 6 years old, and my first stepfather, the guy I was talking about earlier, the guy that just died, the abusive one and stuff, my mother wasn't a big cusser at all, but he cussed all the time. And for some reason, even at a young age, I knew like every cuss word. I don't know why. I don't remember why. I just knew them. And when I would get angry at my mother, I would write down a cuss word about her. Like a fucking bitch, fucking hate you, fucking whore, fuck you. And I would write them on a sticky note and I would fold them up real tight. And I had this, what I thought was extremely secret piggy bank that looked like a book, but it was literally porcelain. So it didn't look like a book. And I put all the sticky, every time I'd get mad, I'd write it on there. It's kind of like a cuss jar, right? And I'd put it in this piggy bank. Never thinking that she would find it. Cause again, I'm 6, not thinking that my mom's going through my stuff, not even fathoming that she would even go through my stuff. And it was Valentine's Day. I don't remember. I was probably 7-ish years old, I guess, at the time. I'm at my grandmother's house, or she had an apartment in Glen Burnie, Maryland. And my mother's coming over to pick me up. And she gives me a Valentine's Day card with 14 $1 bills in there. Now, of course, to me, that's a ton of money. 14 singles. That's 14 whatever, dollars. And then she says, oh, I was cleaning your room. And I found these. And she had 2 hands of these yellow sticky notes with cuss words on them. And she lays them out on my grandmother's kitchen table, which I still have to this day. And I just started bawling my eyes out. And I ran over to my grandmother's itchy, scratchy couch, dove into the crease between the cushions, tucked my head in like an ostrich, and cried and cried and cried. And my grandmother's like, Joan, what's going on? Joan, what's happening? And I hear my mother explaining, it's like, I found all these cuss words written down in Jason's room, and I want to know what they are. Joan, Jace doesn't cuss. Those aren't Jace's. Like, just defending me with no
blind faith.
Yeah, like it's my handwriting. I just learned cursive. It's like totally me. And we never talked about it again. Another thing I should bring up to my mother. Would you like to make another bet and see if she remembers that?
I'm curious about Grandma's couch. Did it have wooden arms and like Conestoga wagons on the print?
No. I know which one you're talking about. No,
yeah.
This was actually, the go-to couch in the 70s into the 80s was that brown, yellow, black, scratchy couch that you see in every picture, like from a house from the 80s. This was the same material. We hadn't gotten away from the material yet, but it was like a light gray with a kind of pink watermarked design.
Oh, just getting into the 80s mod vibe.
Yes.
Like just pushing into the Scarface.
Yes. So anyway, cussing. Sure. And now, look, it turned out just fine.
Well, it's a questionable statement.
As you're writing down on a yellow sticky note. Fuck no, it's not.
I didn't learn my first cuss
Blue
word.
sticky.
Oh, make sure you fold it up and stick it in the ceramic.
My books are real.
Would you say, Fox, you didn't learn your first cuss word to when?
Till I was in 7th grade, when I was 10 years old.
Do you remember who taught it to you?
Lord.
Yeah, the bathroom walls.
Really?
And I came home, and I didn't know they were cuss words. So I came home and I asked my mom, I said, I read this thing and I was wondering, what does it mean Gina has a smelly cunt? And my mom went, whap right across my face without even thinking about it. Gina has a smelly cunt. It's written on the back of the bathroom. You know, you shut the door, you're in there reading while you do whatever, pee, whatever. And that was there. And that was
like 7th grade?
Yeah.
Good God, I was already a chain smoking non-virgin at that point.
Oh, I was smoking, but I didn't know any swears.
If I was your father, I would have been like, Melissa, have we not taught you proper pronunciation? It's China has a smelly cunt. Not China, China has a smelly cunt.
Geener
the wiener.
Geener likes the wiener. What's that?
The first cuss word that I ever said out loud in front of an adult was my grandmother, actually, and I did not know what it meant. What it was, I thought I knew what it meant, okay, but I misunderstood the cuss word into what I thought what it meant. And I think I was 4. I remember back to when I was 3. So I think I was like 4 years old. My mother had not gotten married to the first stepdad yet. And I pulled out a mallet, like for crabs, for blue crabs, you know, like a little hammer, gavel. And I said to my grandmother, I said, look, it's a damn it. And she slaps me so hard. Because, you know, like kids, you know, you screw up words all the time and you don't know their cuss words. Like for helicopter, I would call it a helicraptor. And I thought I was saying it properly. And nobody ever corrected me. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I get it. My babysitter used to say Jesus Christ Almighty. And so I thought that's what it was.
Almighty?
Jesus Christ Almighty.
Jesus Christ Almighty.
Jesus Christ Almighty. It's what it sounded like to me. So that I used to say that was like, hey, Jesus Christ Almighty. Like, what are you saying?
But that was the thing when, you know, you were a kid, it was, you're breaking the rules, you're breaking the law, and you know, it was risky. You know, if you got caught, it would be a minimal punishment, but you got that endorphins going that you were being bad. You guys played that origami game in school, right? You know?
Yeah.
So I never knew how to make them, but I had someone make me one, and it was like, you know, pick a number, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you 4, and pick a color, blue, BLUE, blah, blah, and then pick something else. And I remember doing this. Now this was, you know, I was probably about 6 at the time. We were already living with my first stepdad, and I did it to him. I'm thinking guy to guy, dude to dude. I'm doing this in school with the boys. I can do it with him. I can't do it with my mom, even though she's watching me do this. I'm doing it with him, and he wasn't abusive at the yet. He hadn't gotten to that stage yet. So I did it, and then the last one, I was like, okay, open it up, and he opened it up, and I go, lick my balls. He laughed. He thought it was funny. You know, my mother was like, Chase, you know, and I didn't get in trouble for that one.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Isn't it funny? Carrots,
it's good for your eyesight.
Isn't it funny that our first misspoken swear word to an adult got us slapped in the face?
The what now?
Didn't you say your grandmother slapped you?
Yeah, damn it.
Same here. I got slapped for using, you know, asking what this word meant. Bam!
Yeah, that's old school right there. That's how they handle that shit. You know,
it was. I didn't ask again.
Right, and I didn't say damn it. I don't even think I said damn it today, just because of that. There's no way. But all those words that I put in that porcelain piggy bank, I sure the hell use those words. You know. All right, let's finish things up. Again, thanks to all of our sponsors, especially our title sponsor, Once Upon a Coconut. Use the discount code BSPodcast10 at onceuponacoconut.com and get your discount there. If you do or would like to have a conversation about being a sponsor of any of the shows on the Bailey Podcast Exchange, we have 3 different shows, 5 shows a week. So Monday through Friday is fresh new content for our audience, and still a growing audience. Our different platforms, you know, I keep talking about YouTube, and that's still called At the Bailey Show, but our YouTube channel is like, every time I check it, you know, once when I was getting 1,000 views on something, I'm now getting 3,000 views. It's crazy. So I don't know what's going on there, but it's pretty cool. So we are growing as a show, and we're reaching new audiences, you know. So if you'd like to be a part of that for your brand, and we can help you, you know, out with that wherever you're at in the world, please reach out to me via jasonbailey.com. The merch store just added some new designs up there, a new BS design, a new Honey, I Raised the Kids design, thanks to the Bald Badger and his amazing graphic artistry. The Honey, I Raised the Kids shirt is really, really cool. Really, really cool.
I like that one.
It's cute. That's what it is. It's cute. So if you want to go check those out and grab some merch and wear it around, I'd highly appreciate that. Social media, I'm trying to separate the brands from the BS and Honey, I Raised the Kids and the Vinyl Podcast. So on Instagram, at the Vinyl Road Podcast, at Honey, I Raised the Kids, at Listen to the BS. And then the BS, obviously, it's got different social medias. You can find all of that on jasonbailey.com. But please like, share, and follow and share our content, because that's how we get the word out. That's how we get the word out. Oh, and also, side note, this new audience that I've acquired with Brad Stewart of Saliva for the Vinyl Road Podcast is really, really cool. You two peers are going to like them a lot. They have on their own created a private Facebook group, kind of like what we have for the two peers, which is like, when you have listeners do that, especially this early in the stage of this, that's really, really cool. I know some people have left me because they were pissed off at what I said with the Brandon and Chuck and stuff. It is what it is, and it's done. And if you're gone, you're gone. And I'm sorry to see that, but you got to do what you got to do. That's cool. And life is going to move on for all of us. So we're doing some cool things here. Anyway, Bald Badger, you got anything before we get out?
Yeah, next time I do garage sale, I'm enlisting you as the planner.
Okay. the garage planner, the GP. I like it. All right.
You can
Fox,
be my Jennifer Lopez.
I will. Fox, you got anything? Identify.
I identify as a problem.
That's a
Oh.
What, do you
What
get
if
all
the
these
truth
lists
fits?
at Walmart?
No.
Oh.
Temu.
Oh, you order them online. You get them on Temu.
Temu. They're like $5 a pop. It's real cheap.
I got some BS shirts coming from you guys. The good people
Cool. I'll wear it.
that we work with at T Public are going to send us some shirts and stuff. So I got some shirts coming. All right. Thank you for listening to this free episode. Make sure you subscribe. We got episodes of the BS Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we've got hundreds of them that you can unlock and thousands of hours of content. You'd be helping out me and the show and everybody if you subscribe. It's $4.99 a month. It's very simple. You just go to jasonbailey.com and says subscribe. And I'd appreciate you doing that. Thank you in advance. Keep in touch. Reach out to me. I'm an easy person to get a hold of. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for support. Talk soon. And bye.
Thanks for listening. Till next time, check out thebaileyshow.com. Make sure you like, share, follow on all socials. I leave you with these parting words.
Never got a pink slip either. You know what I would get? A guy would come around to my desk and say, "Get the fuck out of here!"
What do we want to talk about?
Subscribe at jasonbailey.com.
Yeah, baby.